Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, What's your favorite scary movie? Guys, welcome back to Pop Culture at Pat. So today we're going to be talking about Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which is the much anticipated sequel to the original Beetlejuice that came out in the 80s. The film is directed by Tim Burton and it stars Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder, Jenna Ortega, Justin Theroux, Monica Belluci, and Willem Dafoe. So in this film, Lydia is older now. She has her own paranormal show. She's also dating Justin Theroux's character and has a daughter named Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, who she doesn't exactly have the best relationship with. And after a family tragedy occurs, the Deetz family is brought back to where it all began at the ghost house. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice was honestly one of those sequels that I thought we were just never going to see happen. It's similar to how I felt with Hocus Pocus 2, just where it had been so long, there had been, talks of sequels for years, and just nothing would ever finally come together and materialize. There had been so many, pushbacks, script changes, things like that. And so I just never thought that we would actually get to see this film just because it had been so long since the original film. But I can tell you guys right from the get-go, the opening of this film where you have the Geffen logo, you have the incredible score by Danny Elfman, and just the overhead shots that we get of the town and the model, I was just instantly transported back into this world. And that's one of the biggest compliments that I can give Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, is that it feels like the exact same world as the original, but it also feels like a continuation of the story, which doesn't always necessarily happen with some of these legacy sequels. They rely too much on the nostalgia. It doesn't really feel like you're moving forward at all. And that's, like I said, that's one of the biggest compliments that I can probably give this film, is that you do get to explore things a little bit more here. Obviously, it was amazing to see Winona Ryder back in this role as the beloved Lydia Deetz, such an iconic character, beloved by so many. So it was great to see her. The only nitpick that I really have about that character, and it's nothing really to do with Winona Ryder herself, is just the relationship between her and Justin Theroux's character. I don't know, the way that Lydia kind of turns a blind eye to just kind of how he acts and treats her, I feel like that probably wouldn't be how the character would act. So that was the one thing that maybe bothered me a little bit. But again, that's nothing as far as her acting or anything goes. It's more along the writings for that relationship. But there are some funny moments that come from that whole situation. So it's not something where it's like, oh, this just like really bothered me. But it's a little nitpick that I have with that aspect of the movie. And then Catherine O'Hara is back as Delia Deetz, another beloved character from the original film. She was great, once again. Honestly, some of my favorite moments with her character, though, in this film are some of the smaller moments that she just has with Lydia and their relationship, how that's kind of evolved over the years. I really like those moments between those characters. And I will say, I'm not going to go into any specifics, but I will just say that I am surprised as far as how much the character of Charles is mentioned, referenced. It does play an important part, like why they all come back to the town, but just how the character kind of pops up in here, I was a little surprised how much he does. So I don't know if anyone else kind of felt that way too after, what happened with him in real life. And then I thought Jenna Ortega was a perfect addition to this film. She just fit in really nicely with this world, with these characters. And one of the things that I saw, I think it was Winona Ryder in an interview recently that she did, she said that they were waiting for Jenna to be born in order to do this film. And it kind of makes sense after seeing the movie. Like I said, she just fits in really nicely here, especially, just with some of the other roles that she's done. She's worked with Tim before, but one of my favorite things about her that I really appreciated, she wasn't just a copy and paste character of Lydia from the first film into this movie. She's Lydia's daughter, but she is different. She's definitely got that teenage angst and everything like that, but she's got her own quirks, which I really liked about the character. And then obviously she's a Halloween fan. She loves film, so I really enjoyed that as well. And Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, man, he has not missed a beat. He was able to step back into this character almost seamlessly. And I don't know, I would have to check to see because in the original film, I believe he was in there for like 17 minutes of screen time. I don't know what it is for this film specifically. I'd be interested if someone has already calculated that. But to me, it felt like he was in here a little bit more, for me at least personally. And some of his jokes, the audiences that I've seen it with, they were really eating those up. I was laughing, throughout the film. Whenever he appeared on the screen, you always wanted more of him. He left you wanting more, and that's obviously always a good sign. So he is great once again as the character. If you're a fan of Beetlejuice, you're definitely going to be excited to see him back on the big screen. And something that I thought was really cool too for this film is that we actually get a backstory for Beetlejuice, and I love the way that that was shot. I'll just say that it was done in black and white. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I thought that was really interesting. So, and I know a lot of people were waiting to kind of maybe see if we were going to get like a backstory on Beetlejuice. And so you do get that in this film, and that was an aspect that I really enjoyed as well. And I will say there are quite a few new characters introduced in this film, which can feel like a lot with the different storylines kind of going on throughout the film. By no means is it a perfect movie at all. There's certain characters where you feel like maybe you wish you would have got a little bit more time with those characters. One of those being Monica Belluci's character. I wish that we would have gotten to see a little bit more from her. She has a really cool entrance into the movie. Another character that I really enjoyed in this film was Bob, which you've seen him in the trailers. The main guy with the shrunken head. He adds a lot of heart to the film that you weren't really expecting because he doesn't really have any lines. I really liked him. And then there's also a character that Jenna Ortega, or Astrid in the film, she ends up meeting this boy. And I won't go into any specifics as far as like what that storyline entails, but it is pretty important to the movie that they don't really tackle that in any of the trailers. So definitely avoid that going into the film. Then you also had Justin Theroux's character, which he's definitely a character where he's a piece of shit and you're supposed to hate him. And so I've seen some people say they just wish that character was out of the film. He was so annoying at times, though, it was actually kind of funny. So some of the way he was so over the top made for some really comedic moments. So I did like how that ended up playing out with his character. And then Willem Dafoe, too. I won't go into specifics what he is in the film, but you can tell that guy, he just ate it up, getting to play this role in this movie. So those are some of the new characters that are introduced in this film. So there's definitely a lot going on for sure. And another one of my favorite elements of this film is just getting to explore more of the afterlife in this movie and just the amount of dead people that we get to see as well. And the use of practical effects. There's definitely some CGI mixed in here with the use of practical effects, but there's a lot of practical effects that made this horror fan so happy. It was just so nice to see that because nowadays I feel like it's just like, oh, well, we can use CGI for that, and just sometimes we overly rely on CGI, and I appreciate that they took the time to, do the practical effects, the makeup, the different things like that, the stop motion. It just really added to the film for me and really helped me immerse myself into this world again. Also, I will say that this film is a lot more violent than I was expecting it to be. It's PG-13. I'm not going to say it's like, oh my god, this is like one of the goriest movies of the year or anything like that. But just what I think what I was kind of expecting. I mean, the first one definitely has some gags and different things like that there. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. There's some moments in here where they kind of really go for it. And I really enjoyed that being a big horror fan. So that's definitely got 2 thumbs up for me. Another plus for me, too, with this film is that you can just tell that everyone involved in the making of this movie was having a blast doing it, and that includes Tim Burton specifically. I think, for me personally, this is probably my favorite, or I'd say easily my favorite Tim Burton movie in years, and so it was just nice to see that he got to make the movie the way that he wanted to. And I believe it was like an interview with Michael Keaton saying something that they were only going to do this movie if they had the chance to do it like they did the original film. And you can tell that that's what they are able to do with this movie, which is awesome. I also, of course, have to mention Danny Elfman once again does the score for this film. It is amazing. I hope it gets released because it's definitely something that I'll be adding to my collection for sure. It'll be going in my rotation. And there are plenty of callbacks to the original film, which, fans of the original film will really appreciate. But at the same time, they don't feel forced, which isn't always the case with some of these legacy sequels. So I will say that I was really happy with how they used the nostalgia in the movie. Is Beetlejuice a perfect movie? No, by any means. But I had a hell of a time watching it at the theaters. And also just the fall feeling that they were able to capture in this film, which I'll tell you guys a little bit, afterwards, which is funny that this will definitely be something that'll be going in my rotation every year that I'm going to be watching in the fall, because it just gets you right in that mood. I'm here in New Hampshire, and it's getting cooler here, so perfect fall weather. So that just kind of got me more into, the fall season. But yeah, I mean, it can feel like there's a lot going on. It can feel maybe a little stitched together. And while normally that's probably a bad thing for certain films, with this being a Tim Burton movie and just it being a Beetlejuice sequel, I don't know, in a weird way, it kind of makes sense and it just kind of adds to the charm for me. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm going to be watching. I've seen it twice already. I'm going to be seeing it for a third time this weekend. I'm not going to be giving an official score on this one, and you guys will see in a second. But just know that I really enjoyed it. This is coming from someone who loves the original film. I was really happy with what they did. So yeah, if you are a fan of Beetlejuice, make sure you go check this out. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Now, the reason why I'm not giving it a score is because if you guys have me on social media or anything like that, then you've seen I actually got to work on Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. So I felt like it wouldn't necessarily, I still wanted to talk about and review the movie, but I don't know, I didn't want to give a score just because I felt like that maybe would be a little unfair or biased. So full, transparency here. I got to work on the film. I'm thinking I'm possibly going to do a separate video if you guys are interested in hearing about my experience. But yeah, basically about a year ago in July, I got to go up there and work on the movie. I also got to see a bunch of the filming, which I did some of the filming locations. I think it was last year I posted it for Massachusetts. So yeah, it was amazing, and I actually made it into the movie, which was insane. I've done 2 other films, but they've both been streaming, Hubie Halloween and Hocus Pocus 2. And so this was the first one that was on the big screen. It's like 5 seconds that you can maybe see me, but I'm on there when Jenna Ortega's character is riding by the coffee shop. I'm sitting there with the blue jacket in front of the shop, which used to be the old Maitland store. So that was surreal. Got to at one point, Tim Burton and Jenna Ortega were like right in front of me, which was just like, what is my life right now? So that was insane. But yeah, I think I might do like a separate video just kind of going over my whole experience for that. I've gotten to get a bunch of, I got the AMC popcorn bucket, the book, handbook for the recently deceased. I wasn't sure if I was going to get this, and then I saw it in person, and I had to pick it up. So that is awesome. I got the tombstone, which lights up. This is really cool. And then I also got the 2 of the cups. This one's from Cinemark. And then, actually, no, this one was from Regal that I got. And this one is from AMC. So as you can see, I've gotten a bunch of merch. Yeah, I mean, I was nervous going into it because like you do work on a film and you're like, okay, how is this gonna turn out? And so I was happy that it was something that I actually really enjoyed too, and it was just cool getting to see all the stuff that I had worked on that day and seeing it pop up in the film because we did filming up in Vermont, and so all the house scenes were pretty much all filmed up there. So that was really cool, other than the stuff inside. But yeah, so I'm going to do a separate video on that because if I keep going, it's going to be a really long video. But yeah, so this is going to be my review. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos, and that way you can see my video talking about my experience with Beetlejuice. I also got a bunch of other horror fall-based videos coming up, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And if you have seen the film, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are down below. So let me know, and make sure you guys check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.